You are destroying yourself, and you call it love. You call it loyalty. You call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. The truth is, you're sacrificing your own well-being for people who won't change, no matter how much you give. You're not saving anyone. You're sinking with them, losing yourself in their chaos. And deep down, you know it. The Stoics teach us that true strength comes from within, from knowing when to set boundaries and protecting your inner peace. The pursuit of goodness doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for others who refuse to grow. It's about understanding that not everyone is worth saving, and sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and focus on those who genuinely deserve your energy. So, if you're tired of giving your all to people who won't change and you're ready to take control of your life, then this video is for you. But first, if you want to keep learning how to live with purpose, strength, and clarity, consider subscribing. It's a commitment to your own growth and understanding, a step toward building the life you truly deserve. The drama magnet. You are destroying yourself and you call it love, you call it loyalty, you call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. We've all been there, caught up in the never-ending cycle of trying to save others, giving our time and energy to those who seem to need us the most. But what if I told you that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to let them face their own mess? What if the true test of your strength isn't how much you sacrifice, but how much you choose to protect your peace? In this video, we're going to explore the 6 types of people you must stop trying to save, and why doing so might just be the best thing for your own growth. Let's start with the architect of chaos. You know this person. They're always at the center of a storm. No matter where they go, disaster seems to follow. Lost their job again? Yep. Car broke down once more. Of course, they're like magnets for misfortune, and every time you try to help, the storm doesn't just clear, it gets worse. And here's the thing, their chaos is no accident. It's a pattern. They don't just find themselves in these situations, they create them. They make impulsive decisions, neglect the warning signs, and somehow manage to stir the pot wherever they go. Each time you rush in to help, you're not rescuing them. You're feeding their instability, making their chaos your problem, and you know it. You've been there, offering advice, lending money, giving support. And for a while, it feels like you're doing the right thing. But nothing ever changes, does it? The cycle just repeats. This isn't just about bad luck. This is about someone who thrives on drama, someone who's addicted to the turmoil. The more you help, the deeper you're pulled into their mess. The more you try to be the umbrella, the heavier the storm becomes. So here's the tough truth. You cannot fix someone who thrives on chaos. You have to stop being that umbrella. Let them face their own rain. Let them get wet. Let them experience the consequences of their actions. It's hard, yes. It's uncomfortable, yes. But the only way they'll learn to weather their own storms is if you stop sheltering them from the rain. You're not doing them a favor by constantly rescuing them. You're enabling their behavior. Remember, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to walk away. Let them find their way through the storm. Now, think for a moment about the bottomless pit. This person is different, but just as draining. You know the one, always asking for help, always in need, and no matter how much you give, it's never enough. At first, they're so grateful, so thankful. They say all the right things, promise they'll get back on their feet, and you feel good helping. But soon, it starts to feel like a one-sided relationship. The second time you help, they're not as thankful. It's almost like you owe them now, and when you don't give, they start to make you feel guilty. I thought we were friends, they might say. I thought you cared. And that's when the cycle begins. Every time you help, they take more, but they never really give anything back. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't. They're stuck in a mindset of perpetual need. It doesn't matter how much you sacrifice or how much you give, the bottomless pit will never be full. They don't want to get better, they want to be dependent. They want you to keep giving, to keep filling the void inside them. But the more you give, the less they appreciate it, and the more they take. This is not love. This is dependency, and you cannot save someone who believes the world owes them something. At some point, you have to say, enough is enough. Set the boundary. Stop filling the bottomless pit, because no matter how much you give, it will never be enough for them. You're not helping them, you're enabling them. Then there's the smiling saboteur. This one's a little trickier because they come to you with a smile, with good intentions on the surface. But underneath, they are quietly wishing for your downfall. They're the ones closest to you, maybe even your friends. They'll celebrate your success in front of you, but there's always a little hint of negativity in their words, a little seed of doubt they try to plant in your mind. You know the ones. Oh, that promotion sounds great, but aren't the hours horrible? You're going to burn out if you keep going at that pace. They smile, but it's not a smile of encouragement. It's a smile of envy. The smiling saboteur is often someone who can't stand seeing you rise. They want to see you succeed, but not more than they do. They're the ones who downplay your victories, who make you question your abilities. Their jealousy is subtle, but it's always there. It's like a little whisper, undermining your confidence, making you second-guess yourself. And they do it all with a smile, so you don't even realize what's happening until it's too late. You share your excitement with them, and instead of celebrating with you, they feed you their doubts, making you question your path. You cannot save the envious. They are stuck in their own insecurity, and no amount of encouragement from you will change that. Their envy will continue to poison their thoughts, and eventually it will poison the relationship. The best way to deal with them is simple. Keep your victories to yourself. Don't share your good news with them. Don't let them in on your progress. Let them deal with their own insecurities. Don't let them bring you down to their level. Protect your peace and keep your success close to you. Now, we come to the professional victim. This one is particularly hard to spot at first because they come to you with open vulnerability. They share their pain, their struggles, and at first it feels like you're helping. You feel good being the one to support them, to offer advice, to pick them up when they fall. But then you start to notice a pattern. Every time they struggle, they expect you to come running. Every time they face hardship, they act like they can't do it alone. And while you're trying to lift them up, they are, in fact, using their pain to keep you tethered to them. They make their suffering their identity, and the more you try to help, the more they become dependent on you. At some point, you realize that they don't want to heal. They want attention. Their pain has become their currency, and every time you offer a solution, they push it aside, choosing instead to wallow in their misery. And when you stop helping, when you set a boundary, they turn on you. They paint you as the bad guy. They make you feel guilty for not carrying their burden. This is the trap of the professional victim. You can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. You can't heal someone who refuses to let go of their pain. Stop enabling their weakness. Let them stand on their own. Let them face their struggles without your intervention. They won't learn if you keep rescuing them. The arrogant fool is another tough one. This person is stubborn, ignorant, and convinced that they know everything. You've tried to help them, tried to guide them, but every time you offer advice, they shoot it down. They reject your wisdom, your experience, your guidance. And no matter how many times they fail, they never learn. They're in love with their own ideas, and any attempt to correct them is seen as an attack on their ego. They're the ones who make the same mistakes over and over, but instead of listening to reason, they keep charging forward, convinced they're right. You cannot teach someone who doesn't want to learn. The arrogant fool will only push you away, and the more you try to help, the more they'll resent you for it. You're wasting your time and energy on someone who isn't willing to grow. Don't try to fix someone who doesn't want to change. Let them fall on their own, because only then will they realize the truth. Their stubbornness will eventually catch up to them, but until then, there's nothing you can do but watch from a distance. Lastly, we have the Scorpion. This one is perhaps the most painful, because they are the ones who hurt you over and over again. They betray your trust, break your heart, and yet you keep taking them back. You forgive them, believing they will change. They promise they'll be different, that they'll never hurt you again. But time and time again, they do. They cheat, they lie, they manipulate, and yet you keep hoping they'll come around. The truth is, you can't change someone's nature. The Scorpion will always sting, no matter how many times you forgive them. They will continue to hurt you, and you will continue to let them, thinking that if you just love them enough, they'll change. But love isn't about sacrificing yourself. You have to let them go. You have to cut them out of your life, completely. Because if you don't, you'll only keep allowing them to destroy you. Their betrayal is not a mistake. It's a habit. And once you see them for who they truly are, you'll realize that no amount of forgiveness will ever be enough to change them. These are the 6 types of people you must stop trying to save. Each one drains your energy, your peace, and your potential. It's time to let go. It's time to stop sacrificing yourself for others who aren't willing to change. Protect your peace, set boundaries, focus on those who truly deserve your time and energy. This isn't about being selfish, it's about self-preservation. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And once you stop trying to save the unsavable, you'll find that your own life begins to thrive. The never enough person. You are destroying yourself and you call it love. You call it loyalty. You call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. Have you ever given so much to someone only for them to take and take, but never truly appreciate it? You give them everything you have, your time, your energy, your support, and yet they always want more. They expect more. They need more. And no matter how much you give, it's never enough. You begin to feel drained, empty, and uncertain of why you're constantly giving to someone who never seems satisfied. But here's the harsh truth. The more you give, the less they appreciate it. This person is what we call the bottomless pit, the one who never has enough. At first, it seems like they genuinely appreciate your help. They thank you. They say all the right things. They make you feel good about being there for them. But then something starts to shift. The gratitude fades, replaced by expectation. What was once an expression of appreciation soon becomes a demand. They start to take your kindness for granted, almost as if they believe you owe it to them. And the more they take, the more they feel entitled to even more. The problem with the bottomless pit is that they don't want help. They want control. They don't want to improve or grow. They want to keep you stuck in a cycle of need, forever dependent on you. They use your kindness as a way to manipulate and keep you tethered to them. And if you ever decide to stop giving, if you set a boundary and say no, that's when the real danger shows itself. Suddenly they turn on you. They'll make you feel guilty for not helping, for not sacrificing. They might even act as though you're the selfish one, as if you're the problem. And all the while, their resentment grows because they no longer have you at their disposal. They begin to see your boundaries as a betrayal. And the worst part, they don't see what they're doing to you. They're so wrapped up in their own cycle of need that they can't see the toll it's taking on you. At this point, you need to understand that this person does not respect you or your limits. They want to keep you in their debt, not because they're grateful, but because they see your kindness as something they can exploit. This is not love, this is manipulation. It's a toxic, draining cycle, and it will only continue as long as you let it. So what do? You stop. You stop enabling them. You stop giving without boundaries. You stop sacrificing yourself for someone who doesn't even appreciate it. This isn't about being cruel or harsh. This is about protecting yourself from being emotionally drained, from being manipulated into thinking that your worth is tied to your ability to give endlessly. It's not easy to say no to someone you care about, but you must protect your energy. You must set boundaries. When you start saying no, you'll see their true nature unfold. They'll react with anger, resentment, or guilt. But that's your sign that you've made the right decision. The moment they turn on you for setting boundaries is the moment you realize you've been enabling their toxicity. They don't want help, they want to drain you dry. And it's time to stop letting them. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. The time you spend pouring into a bottomless pit is time you'll never get back. You're not helping anyone by sacrificing your own well-being for someone who doesn't care about improving. It's your time, your energy, your peace that matters, and you must protect it with the same intensity you protect anything else that's precious to you." Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's wise. It's a necessary act of self-preservation. Without those boundaries, you'll lose yourself in someone else's chaos, someone else's needs. And what happens when you lose yourself? You're left with nothing to give. Think about it. How often have you felt drained, exhausted, or even resentful because you've given so much and received nothing in return? How often have you felt like you were being used? That feeling doesn't go away when you keep giving. It only grows stronger. But when you set that boundary, when you say no, you begin to reclaim your power. You start to protect your time, your peace, and your energy. It's a hard lesson, but it's an essential one. You can't pour from an empty cup, and the longer you allow the bottomless pit to take from you, the less you'll have left to give. So take a step back. Let them face the consequences of their actions. Let them feel the weight of their own choices, and watch how quickly they start to appreciate the value of what you once gave them. But don't let their reaction fool you. They might guilt trip you, make you feel like you're doing something wrong. They'll play the victim, as if you're the one abandoning them. But the truth is, by setting your boundaries, you're actually giving them the best chance to grow. You're not being cruel, you're giving them the space they need to stand on their own 2 feet. And by doing so, you'll begin to create a life that is focused on your growth, not theirs. This is where the power of Stoicism comes in. The Stoics teach us that we are in control of how we respond to the world around us. We can't control what others do, but we can control how we allow them to impact us. The moment we let others dictate our boundaries, we surrender our power. And that's exactly what the bottomless pit wants. They want you to be their emotional bank, giving without limit, without question. But you don't owe them that. No one deserves unlimited access to your energy, especially not someone who never plans to give back. So take a step back and look at the relationships in your life. Are there people who are constantly draining you, but never giving anything in return? Are you allowing someone to take from you without ever setting a boundary? It's time to break that cycle. It's time to protect your peace. Set the boundaries. Say no when it's needed. And watch how the people around you begin to change. Some will respect you for it, and others will show their true colors. And when they do, you'll know exactly what to do next. By choosing to protect your energy, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're also creating space for the relationships that truly matter, the ones where mutual respect and reciprocity exist, the ones that feed your soul, not drain it. And once you start filling your life with these kinds of relationships, you'll realize how much energy you had to waste in the first place. So stop giving to the bottomless pit and start giving to yourself. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel when you do. This isn't about being selfish. This is about survival. It's about learning when to give and when to protect yourself. And when you do this, you'll find that you have more to give to those who truly deserve it. You'll have more to give to those who appreciate your time, your energy, and your kindness. Because in the end, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. The hidden enemy. You are destroying yourself and you call it love. You call it loyalty. You call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. How many times have you shared something exciting, something that meant the world to you, only to have someone respond with doubt, fear, or even subtle discouragement? It's the kind of response that makes you question yourself just for a moment, and suddenly your excitement feels less exciting. It's like someone just threw a little cloud over your sunshine, dimming the light you were so proud of. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They smile at your success, but wish for your failure. They celebrate your achievements on the outside, while secretly hoping you won't reach higher than they can go. This is the smiling saboteur, the person who hides their envy behind a friendly face, but deep down, they want to see you fall. This type of person is dangerous because they don't attack you outright. They don't openly criticize you or undermine your success. Instead, they wrap their jealousy in a cloak of concern. "Be careful, don't get your hopes up," they say, or "I hope you're not burning yourself out." On the surface, it sounds like genuine concern, but underneath it's something far darker. What they really mean is, "I hope you don't succeed because your success reminds me of my own shortcomings." They want you to stay in your place, to stay in the same circle, because when you move forward, it forces them to look at where they're stuck. Your success is a mirror to their insecurities, and that's something they can't handle. It's much easier for them to tear you down than to look at their own failure. They might act like they're rooting for you, but when the time comes for you to shine, they'll throw seeds of doubt. They'll subtly sabotage your progress in ways that aren't always obvious. They might downplay your achievements, cast doubt on your abilities, or even create drama right before a big moment. You've experienced this before. Maybe you've had a friend or a colleague who, when you shared your good news, gave you a comment that made you second-guess yourself. "I hope it works out for you, but I'm just worried about..." And suddenly, you're not as excited as you were before. The smiling saboteur's job is to keep you at their level, to pull you down, to stop you from outgrowing them. And when you start to succeed, they start to feel threatened, so they'll do whatever they can, subtly, quietly, to make sure you don't go too far ahead. The problem with this person is that they'll never openly admit to their jealousy. They disguise it as concern, as advice, as a friendly warning. But here's the thing, you cannot afford to share your light with those who only want to dim it. They won't celebrate your wins the way a true friend would. Instead, they'll make you feel like you have something to lose, and the more you share with them, the more they'll try to stop you from moving forward. So how do you deal with them? The best way is to keep your victories to yourself. Protect your achievements. Don't let someone's quiet envy steal your joy or your momentum. Remember, your success is not something to be diminished by someone else's insecurities. As Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And to become who you truly are, you must stop allowing others to pull you back down to their level. Keep your victories close to your chest. Don't seek approval from those who secretly resent your success. And most importantly, protect your peace. The smiling saboteur might wear a friendly face, but their true intentions will always reveal themselves over time. The more you share with someone who's secretly envious, the more they'll sabotage your progress. Now, you might be wondering, but how do I know when I'm dealing with a smiling saboteur? It's not always easy to spot them right away. They don't show their true colors at first. But as time goes on, you'll start to notice subtle patterns. For example, they might make little comments that plant seeds of doubt. You tell them about a new opportunity you're excited about, and instead of congratulating you, they point out all the reasons why it might not work out. They might not do this with malice. It's more of a defensive reaction. They're trying to protect themselves from feeling inadequate. They don't want you to grow, because your growth highlights their own stagnation. Their jealousy is disguised as concern, and once you see that, you'll understand that they're not rooting for your success. They're trying to pull you back into the same place they're stuck in. And let's be honest here, The more you share with someone who resents your success, the more you're giving them the power to hold you back. Their doubts, their criticisms, their fears, they'll start to influence how you see your own potential. You might even start to doubt yourself, thinking, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not capable of this. But you can't afford to let that happen. You've worked hard for where you are, and you deserve to succeed without being undermined by someone else's insecurities. The smiling saboteur thrives on the energy of keeping others at their level. They want to keep you small because when you grow, they have to face their own lack of progress. Their insecurity becomes your burden. Don't carry that burden. Instead, protect your energy and keep moving forward. Your success is yours alone, and no one has the right to steal it from you, especially not someone who hides their jealousy behind a smile. This is why it's so important to surround yourself with people who genuinely want the best for you. True friends will support you, celebrate your successes, and lift you up when you're feeling down. They'll never try to pull you back into their own comfort zone. Instead, they'll push you to be better, to do more, and to achieve greatness. True friends understand that your success doesn't diminish theirs. It inspires them. And that's the kind of energy you need in your life. The more you grow, the more you should seek out those who will champion your progress, not try to hold you back. At the end of the day, the smiling saboteur isn't just a friend, they're a barrier to your growth. They'll make you feel guilty for wanting more, for being more. They'll try to convince you that your success is a threat to their comfort, and they'll do whatever they can to pull you down. But you don't have to let them. Your success belongs to you, and it's time to stop sharing it with those who want to keep you at their level. Protect your victories. Keep them close. Let your light shine, but don't let anyone try to dim it. So here's the key. When you start to notice someone's quiet sabotage, it's time to pull back. Protect your peace. Let your success speak for itself. Don't let anyone try to quiet it down. When you stop seeking validation from the jealous and the insecure, you'll find that your true supporters will emerge, and with them, your true potential. You're not responsible for their growth, only for your own. Keep that in mind as you continue on your journey, and remember that your success is a reflection of your hard work, not something to be hidden or diminished by anyone else. The never-healing soul. You are destroying yourself, and you call it love. You call it loyalty. You call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. How many times have you given so much of yourself to someone, only to watch them remain in the same place, refusing to change? You pour your time, energy, and emotions into trying to help, but it never seems to be enough. Every time you offer a solution, it's rejected. Every time you try to guide them toward healing, they fight back. They don't want healing. They want attention. They want sympathy. They want to keep playing the victim, because as long as they're the victim, they don't have to face the reality of their own responsibility. This is the professional victim, the person who uses their suffering as a weapon to keep you stuck in their cycle of need. The professional victim is not someone who genuinely wants to get better. They are not looking for a way out of their pain. They are looking for validation. They wear their pain like a badge of honor, parading it in front of others, hoping that people will feel sorry for them, that they will receive the attention and care they crave. And at first, it's easy to fall for it. You see their suffering, and your natural instinct is to help. You offer solutions, advice, a listening ear. You try to give them what they need to heal. But every time you offer help, they reject it, as if your solutions are somehow invalid. They're not interested in what you have to say. They're only interested in staying stuck in their story, in their narrative of helplessness. This is where the danger lies. When you keep enabling the professional victim, you're not helping them. You're reinforcing their story. You're telling them that their pain is valid, that their helplessness is justified. You're allowing them to keep playing the role of the victim, which only keeps them trapped in their cycle of suffering. And the more you try to help, the more you become entangled in their web. You start to feel responsible for their pain, responsible for their healing, but the truth is, you can't fix them. You can't heal someone who isn't ready to heal themselves. They have to face their struggles on their own. They have to learn to carry their own weight, and the moment you stop carrying it for them is the moment they'll be forced to stand up and take responsibility for their own life. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." The professional victim has chosen to remain in a state of helplessness, to let their pain define them. They've chosen to stay stuck in a narrative that gives them sympathy and attention rather than seeking real growth and healing. But you can't help someone who refuses to change, no matter how much you love them or how hard you try. The most loving thing you can do is to let them face the consequences of their own choices. You don't have to carry their burden. They are the only ones who can lift themselves out of their pain. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can start to take care of yourself instead of pouring all your energy into someone who isn't ready to change. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? To watch someone you care about stay stuck in their pain, to see them reject every opportunity for growth and healing. But the truth is, you cannot force someone to heal. You can't give them the strength they need if they're not willing to find it for themselves. Every time you try to pull them out of their struggles, they slip back down because they're not ready to climb. They don't want to climb. They want to stay where it's comfortable, where they can keep playing the victim. And the more you try to help, the more you're enabling their weakness, reinforcing the idea that they don't need to change, that they don't need to grow. The hardest part of all of this is the guilt. It's easy to feel like you're abandoning them, like you're not doing enough, like you're not being a good person. But the reality is that you can't be a good person at the expense of your own mental and emotional well-being. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you keep sacrificing yourself to try to save someone who doesn't want to be saved, you're not helping them, you're hurting yourself. The professional victim will take and take from you until there's nothing left. And even then, they will expect more. The moment you stop giving, they will turn on you. They'll make you feel like you're the one who's failed them, that you're the one who's not doing enough. But this is not your battle, it never was. Their journey is theirs to walk, and your journey is yours. So, what can you do? The most loving thing you can do is let go. Stop trying to fix what's broken in someone else when you're breaking yourself in the process. Stop feeding into their narrative of helplessness. Stop enabling their victimhood, and most importantly, stop sacrificing your peace for someone who isn't willing to do the work to heal. They will fight you. They will make you feel guilty for stepping back. But you have to stay firm. You have to protect your energy, because once you stop carrying their weight, they will be forced to carry it themselves. And only then will they begin to see the truth, that healing is not something you can do for them. It is something they must choose for themselves. The reality is, the professional victim will never stop playing the victim until they are ready to face the truth about themselves. They will continue to demand your sympathy and attention as long as you keep giving it to them. But when you stop, when you draw the line and set the boundary, they will be forced to confront their own pain, their own healing, and their own responsibility. And that's when real change can begin, not because you did something for them, but because they chose to do something for themselves. Let them fall. Let them hit the bottom. Because it is only when they're at rock bottom that they'll realize they can't keep playing the victim. They will have to pick themselves up, and they will have to face their own demons. You cannot carry them out of their darkness. They have to do it for themselves, and when they do, it will be the most powerful thing they could ever do. But until then, you have to let go. You have to protect yourself. You have to stop giving to someone who isn't ready to receive. You can love them, but you can't heal them. Healing is a choice they have to make, and until they make that choice, you are not helping them by staying in their drama. It's time to step away. It's time to let them carry their own weight, and it's time for you to focus on your own growth, your own healing, and your own peace. You cannot keep giving yourself away to someone who isn't ready to stand on their own. That is not love, it's sacrifice, and it's time to stop sacrificing yourself. The stubborn know-it-all. You are destroying yourself and you call it love. You call it loyalty. You call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. How many times have you tried to help someone who seems to have it all figured out? You offer advice, share your experiences, or try to guide them through their struggles. Yet no matter what you say, no matter how much you care, they just won't listen. Instead, they argue with you, dismiss your insights, and continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. You've tried everything to help, but their ego blocks the way. And it's exhausting, isn't it? It's draining to pour your wisdom and energy into someone who refuses to take it. You feel like you're hitting a brick wall, but here's the reality. You cannot help someone who refuses to learn. This is the arrogant fool, the stubborn know-it-all who believes they have all the answers. They're the type of person who refuses to accept advice, even when it's clear that they're heading down a destructive path. They might not say it directly, but every time you try to guide them, it's like they're telling you, "I don't need your help. I already know everything." It's a frustrating experience because, deep down, you know they don't have it all figured out. They're blind to their own mistakes, and worse, they're resistant to seeing the truth. No matter how many times you point out their flaws, they refuse to acknowledge them. Their pride is their prison, and it keeps them locked in a cycle of self-destruction. The worst part is that it's not even about them not knowing. It's about their unwillingness to listen. They've convinced themselves that their way is the only way, and they've built this wall of arrogance around their mind that no advice can penetrate. They'll argue with you, dismiss your solutions, and then go right back to making the same mistakes that could easily be avoided. They believe their ego is their shield, but in reality, it's just keeping them from growing. They're not open to learning because in their mind, they're already right. You can see the danger they're heading toward, but they can't see it. And because they're too stubborn to listen, they'll keep falling into the same traps, dragging themselves deeper into their own mess. At some point, you have to ask yourself, why are you wasting your energy trying to fix someone who won't let themselves be fixed? Trying to help the arrogant fool is like teaching a brick wall. No matter how much wisdom or guidance you offer, it's like speaking to someone who's deaf to your words. Their mind is closed, their pride is impenetrable, and nothing you say will ever reach them. The more you try, the more defensive they become. It's as if your advice only fuels their ego, making them more resistant to change. You're not helping them, you're enabling their ignorance. And the longer you stay in this cycle of trying to help someone who doesn't want it, the more you'll lose yourself. You'll start doubting your own wisdom, wondering if maybe they're right and you're wrong. But that's the trap. Don't let their ignorance drag you down to their level. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." The arrogant fool can't do this. They can't accept their own flaws, their own mistakes, because doing so would require vulnerability and self-awareness. They're not ready for that. Instead, they choose to live in a fantasy where they are always right, where they never have to face the truth. And you can't change that. You can't force someone to confront their own ignorance. They have to do it on their own. So, what can you do? The best thing you can do is step back. Let reality be their teacher. They'll keep making the same mistakes, and eventually, reality will catch up with them. When they fall, and they will, they'll have to face the consequences of their actions. They won't have you to blame anymore. They'll have to deal with the results of their stubbornness. And when that happens, they might finally see the truth. But that's not your responsibility. You don't have to carry the weight of their ignorance. You don't have to keep trying to fix someone who refuses to be fixed. Let them learn the hard way, because sometimes that's the only way they'll ever learn. You see, the arrogant fool doesn't need your wisdom. They need their own wake-up call. You can't teach someone who thinks they already know everything. You can't change someone who refuses to accept that they need change. The more you try to force them to listen, the more they'll resist. And the longer you stay in this cycle, the more you'll become frustrated, drained, and bitter. You can't pour into a cup that's already full of pride. You can't force someone to drink from the well of wisdom when they've convinced themselves that their own way is better. Think about the times you've tried to help someone like this. You've shared your experience, your knowledge, and your insights, only to have them shoot you down. Maybe you've even had your own doubts after trying to help them, wondering if maybe you're the one who's wrong. But the truth is, you're not wrong. The only thing wrong is the arrogance that blinds them from the truth. You can't help someone who is too blinded by their own ego to see the light. So stop trying, step back, protect your energy, and let them face the consequences of their own decisions. This isn't about being cruel, it's about survival. You cannot continue to pour your energy into someone who is not open to growth. You cannot keep trying to help someone who is not ready to change. And by doing this, you're actually helping them more than you ever could, by staying in the cycle of constant frustration. They need to experience the consequences of their actions, and they need to do it on their own. You can't fix someone who refuses to learn. The best thing you can do is let them face their reality. Let them fall, and when they do, don't rush in to save them. Let them pick themselves up. Let them learn the hard lessons that only life can teach. Because that's the only way they'll ever change. You can't save someone who is not ready to be saved. It's not your job. And trying to do so will only drain you, leaving you feeling defeated and hopeless. At the end of the day, the arrogant fool will remain stuck in their ignorance until they are ready to face the truth. But you don't have to stay stuck with them. You can walk away. You can protect your peace, protect your energy, and stop wasting your time on someone who refuses to learn. Let reality be their teacher. Let them face the consequences of their own choices. And when they do, maybe, just maybe, they'll start to see the truth. But until then, you have to take a step back. You can't save them. You can only save yourself. The repeater of betrayals. You are destroying yourself and you call it love. You call it loyalty. You call it being a good person. But in the cold light of reality, it is none of those things. How many times have you forgiven someone who betrayed you, telling yourself, maybe this time will be different? You give them a second chance, a third, even a fourth, but each time they hurt you again. The pain cuts deeper each time, yet you keep holding on, thinking that if you just love them enough, they'll change. But here's the painful truth. Some people can't change. Some people won't change. And if you keep forgiving them, you're not helping them. You're helping them hurt you more. This brings us to the scorpion, the person who stings you repeatedly, no matter how many chances you give them. They lie, cheat, steal, or betray your trust. And each time they promise they've learned from their mistakes. I've changed, they say. It won't happen again. But it always does. They hurt you, apologize, and make empty promises, only to turn around and do the same thing again. Their nature is betrayal, and no amount of love or forgiveness will ever change that. You can forgive them 100 times, but it will never be enough. They will always find a way to break your trust again, and with each act of forgiveness, you're silently telling them that their betrayal is acceptable, that it's okay to hurt you as long as they apologize afterward, but you can't keep doing this. You can't keep enabling their toxic behavior and allowing it to destroy your peace. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." But in relationships, this idea holds true for anyone. When we allow someone to repeat destructive patterns, we're essentially living their consequences. We carry the weight of their mistakes on our shoulders. By forgiving someone who continually betrays you, you're living in their shadow, carrying the weight of their inability to change. You're not just hurting yourself in the moment, you're allowing their actions to control your future, your peace, and your emotional well-being. and that's a burden no one should bear. The scorpion will continue to hurt you because that's who they are. They might say they've changed, but their actions tell a different story. With every betrayal, you'll start to lose pieces of yourself, your trust, your confidence in people. But here's the thing, you can't fix them. You can't change someone who doesn't want to change. The more you forgive, the more you teach them that their betrayal doesn't have consequences. They'll keep stinging you again and again, knowing that you'll always forgive them. But every time you let them back in, you're sacrificing your own peace and self-respect. You're allowing them to make you feel less than you deserve, and that needs to stop. It's difficult, isn't it? Walking away from someone you care about, someone who promises to be better, someone you've invested so much of yourself into. But the truth is, you are not helping them by accepting their betrayal. You're enabling their behavior. You're allowing them to keep stinging you, knowing they can get away with it. Forgiveness isn't about giving someone another chance to hurt you. It's about letting go of the weight they've put on your shoulders. True forgiveness comes with boundaries. True forgiveness doesn't mean accepting disrespect. It means releasing the hold that person has over you so that you can move forward in peace. And sometimes the best way to forgive is to cut ties and walk away from the person who continually hurts you. There's no shame in cutting someone off who repeatedly betrays you. It's not being cruel, it's being wise. A scorpion cannot change its nature, no matter how many chances you give it. And while it might hurt in the moment, it will hurt even more if you continue to let them poison your life. You're not obligated to stay in a relationship that causes you harm. You're not obligated to keep forgiving someone who doesn't deserve your trust. The best way to truly save yourself is to stop giving them the power to hurt you. Cut them off completely without hesitation. Don't wait for another apology. Don't wait for another promise that things will be different. Walk away and protect your peace. Because as long as you keep letting them back in, you're not only allowing them to betray you, you're betraying yourself. It's time to stop letting the scorpion control your life. You are not a martyr. You are not someone's punching bag, someone they can hurt, apologize to, and then hurt again. You are worthy of respect, of love, of trust. And the moment you start demanding that from others, the moment you set firm boundaries, is the moment you reclaim your power. Letting go of the scorpion is not just about protecting your peace. It's about honoring yourself. It's about saying, I deserve more than this. I deserve better. The scorpion will try to make you feel guilty. They'll tell you they've changed, that this time it will be different. But deep down, you know better. You've seen this story play out before. You've watched the cycle repeat itself, and you've felt the sting each time. You don't need to feel guilty for protecting yourself. You don't need to feel bad for walking away from someone who refuses to treat you with the respect you deserve. Sometimes, the hardest thing to do is also the most necessary thing. Cutting ties with someone who continues to hurt you. But in doing so, you're making space for the people who will respect you. The people who will honor your boundaries, and the people who will truly value you for who you are. You're not just walking away from a person, you're walking toward a life of peace, of self-respect, and of strength. So, as hard as it is to admit, sometimes the only way to save yourself is to stop trying to save someone else. Let the scorpion go. Let them sting someone else. And when they do, let them face the consequences of their own actions, not yours. You are not responsible for their behavior. You are responsible for your peace, for your happiness, for your growth. And that is worth protecting. The scorpion will always be the scorpion, but you don't have to keep inviting them into your life. You don't have to keep giving them chances to hurt you. The best way to protect yourself is to cut them off completely, without hesitation, and never look back. You deserve better than a constant cycle of betrayal. You deserve trust, you deserve respect, you deserve peace. And the only way to get that is to stop allowing the scorpion to control your life. Let them go and reclaim the life you deserve. You don't have to keep carrying the weight of others' mistakes. Letting go of those who continuously hurt you is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of strength, of self-respect, and of choosing peace over pain. It's time to stop being someone's emotional punching bag and start prioritizing your own well-being. You deserve to surround yourself with people who lift you up, not tear you down. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to reclaim your power, check out one of the videos on the screen. Thank you for being part of Stoic Journal. Keep growing, keep evolving, and most importantly, keep protecting your peace.